Hello everyone, Weather Jamaica here. Welcome to this updated video on the weather across Jamaica and the rest of the Caribbean. It is Friday evening, December 6, 2024. Now before we jump into it, please ensure that you guys like the video. I'd really appreciate it if you guys get this video up to 100 likes. If you don't know by now, that's how the YouTube algorithm works. We all like the video and then the YouTube algorithm pushes the video out to more persons who are in the path of these tropical systems so that we can keep everyone safe, especially during the peak months of Atlantic hurricane season, that's August through to October. Share this video with your friends, your co-workers, your relatives, and even your church brethren, and subscribe if you haven't yet done so. Please utilize the progress bar at the bottom of the video to skip to the point in the video that you want to see the most, because you know the videos over here at Weather Jamaica are very long. You can also utilize the timestamps in the comment section as well as the video description. We all have things to do. It's best to use the timestamp to skip through. Leave a comment down below letting me know what the weather's been like in your area recently. Also feel free to ask any weather related question that you might have about the future of the weather in your specific area. Alright, so as usual we're going to be looking at the next 7 days in terms of what the Euro model as well as the GFS model are showing in terms of rainfall across Jamaica. As usual we're going to be focusing our attention on the timestamp at the top. We're just going to be going out to the next 168 hours. And keep your eyes focused on the Caribbean right here. We have Jamaica right here. So look closely to see the moisture as represented by the greens into the yellows, oranges, and the reds represents 1 all the way up to 24 inches of rainfall. So going out in time, we see that as we head into Saturday, there's still going to be some more rainfall. We see the greens on top of Jamaica. We're talking about northern parishes, maybe eastern parishes too, spilling into section of some southern parishes maybe during the afternoon. Sunday we still see some amount of moisture, especially across northeastern Jamaica for sure, and then maybe some afternoon rainfall. As we head into Monday now, the rainfall is starting to let up a bit. We're starting to see more whites and some lighter shades of greens, so maybe some lingering isolated showers but nothing too drastic. Tuesday something similar, more whites. Wednesday whites. We start to see some moisture across the waters of the central Caribbean to the south of Hispaniola right there, and we also see a lot of moisture right there across the eastern United States into Florida as well as the Gulf of Mexico all the way down into Central America, associated with another cold front. And as we continue to go in time, we're going to be stopping right here at the 168 hour mark. That's 12 on Friday December 13, Friday the 13th. That's 7 a.m. We can make out the moisture associated with that frontal system stretching all the way down to the Bahamas as well as Cuba, all the way down to Central America, but it doesn't seem like it's going to be making it as far as Jamaica. Either way, whatever happens, I'll keep you posted. Let us see what the latest GFS model is showing. So this GFS just came out an hour ago, and we can see that as we head into Saturday, we still have some moisture to receive across northern Jamaica for sure. Heading into the afternoon, definitely some slight rainfall. Sunday we have rainfall across the northeast again. Monday still showing something similar. Well, it's definitely letting up for sure, more whites than anything else, even though we still have some isolated lingering showers. So it's the same for Tuesday, less rainfall. Wednesday, less rainfall. And we see the moisture associated with that frontal system across the eastern United States all the way down to Florida, western Cuba, and Central America. But we see that as we wrap up the end of the 7 days, excuse me, the moisture doesn't make it as far as Jamaica. We see the moisture right here, reaching all the way down to the southern Bahamas, central Cuba, and western Caribbean. We'll see if some of this moisture actually makes it as far south and east as Jamaica, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted with what happens. Clearly we see the differences. The Euro has it more so across the northern Bahamas, western Cuba, into Central America by Friday December 13. The GFS has it right here across the southern Bahamas, central Cuba, the Cayman Islands, as well as sections of Honduras, not so much Jamaica at all. But regarding the next 7 days in terms of rainfall, we're still looking at the rainfall that's still going to be expected from the northeasterly flow over the next 2 days. So we're talking about Saturday and Sunday. All of this is the rainfall that we see for northeastern Jamaica. Don't think that is going to be expected during the next 7 days. Most of this rainfall for northeastern Jamaica is definitely just going to be stopping right here as we head into Monday. But some rainfall could definitely continue across Belize, northeastern Guatemala, Honduras, sections of Nicaragua, Costa Rica, and Panama over the next 7 days. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast for rainfall still for northeastern Jamaica, eastern Cuba, northern Hispaniola, northern Haiti and Dominican Republic, northern Honduras, section of eastern Nicaragua, section of Costa Rica, Panama, Belize, Guatemala as well. And we can also see that on the close-up of Jamaica, the next 7 days in terms of accumulated precipitation still shows all the way up into the reds. That represents 157 millimeters of rainfall still in store for St. Mary and Portland. Trust me, most of that rainfall will be happening tonight into tomorrow as well as on Sunday. But as we head into Monday, the work week, the rainfall is definitely going to be stopping for sure. Weather pattern is going to be changing. We can see that even the GFS model is still in consensus that over the next couple of days we still have a lot more rainfall to receive for northeastern parishes for sure. And look at this. This is what I'm talking about. This map is showing all the way up until 1 p.m. on Wednesday. Let's see if we can backtrack a little bit. Alright. This map is showing, let's stop it right there, 3 a.m. on Monday. And we see that it hasn't changed much. A lot of rainfall still to come. For St. Mary and Portland for sure. So don't think that the work week is going to bring us more rainfall for you guys in the northeast. The rainfall over the next 3 days, we're talking about Saturday, Sunday, 2 days, Saturday, Sunday, is going to be affecting northeastern Jamaica. Then as we head into the work week, it's going to be more isolated and not so much affecting northeastern Jamaica at all. If we take a look at the surface map of the Atlantic for this evening, we can still see the ridge of high pressure right here to the north that we know is responsible for sending all of the easterly trade winds across the main development region into the Caribbean. We can see broken orange lines right here associated with a trough, the leftovers of a frontal system right here, a brand new cold front right here across the waters of the North Atlantic as well as sections of Florida. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of the Atlantic before the sun went down, we can make out all of these entities. The low-level flow of the low-level clouds being pushed from east to west, all courtesy of the ridge of high pressure. We can see the clouds associated with the trough right here, and we can see the clouds associated with that cold front that's currently sitting on top of Florida, bringing some amount of rainfall to those areas. We'll be talking more about the rest of the Caribbean today later on. Let us focus our attention on the prediction that was made in yesterday's video about the weather across Jamaica for today, Friday, December 6, 2024. It was stated that rain was in the forecast, and not only rain but windy conditions. Excuse me. For parts of northern Jamaica last night into Friday morning. And then some of that rainfall would have affected sections of some southern parishes. I know northern Jamaica, we're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. While southern parishes, we're talking about Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, Manchester, Clarendon, St. Catherine, Kingston, St. Andrew, and St. Thomas. And what ended up happening? As early as 7:10 a.m., the Cuban Doppler radar images were posted here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that these posts aren't only made here on our Twitter page at Weather Jamaica, but they're also made on our Instagram page at weather.jamaica, on our TikTok page at Weather Jamaica, and on our Facebook page at Weather Jamaica 876. So if you have one of those social media platforms, please ensure that you follow us there as we make posts throughout the day that you can't afford to miss. So we can see the Cuban Doppler radar images at around 7:10 a.m. highlighting the greens as well as some slight yellows. That represents Moderado. Moderado represents moderate rainfall on the Cuban Doppler radar. We know they speak Spanish over there. And we also see some dots of yellows that represents Fuerte. Fuerte means strong or heavy rainfall. We definitely saw some of that affecting section of some northern parishes, more so section of St. James and Trelawney at that time, as well as sections of St. Thomas and maybe even eastern Portland. And then as the day progressed, the visible satellite images were posted at around 5:05 p.m. and they highlighted that we're definitely getting on some clouds. Still bring some isolated showers and overcast skies to section of Portland, section of St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney. We can also see that we even got a brief isolated thunder shower right here across sections of Westmoreland. We also saw some of the action across section of St. Elizabeth too. And if we take a look at the visible satellite images of Jamaica before the sun went down, we can make it out even better. So it was definitely more so partly cloudy than anything else, but we can make out some isolated showers within these clouds across Westmoreland, St. Elizabeth, section of St. Catherine during the afternoon, and the usual rainfall for northern parishes too. So Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney definitely got in on some amount of rainfall for sure. Couldn't make out anything much on the infrared. Just that brief isolated thunder shower right there offshore the Westmoreland coast. We saw the sparkling white dots that represent some amount of lightning strikes, if not lightning flashes. Then we saw the quickness of the high cold cloud toss being sheared off towards the northeast. Then that storm cell definitely dissipated. If we take a look at the Barbican camera from today from See Jamaica's YouTube channel, we can see that it was definitely looking to be more cloudy than anything else at around 2:37. But that was the order of the day across the corporate area today. Not much in the way of rainfall at all. And I'd like for you to keep in mind that if you'd like to see more live streams like this, just visit See Jamaica on YouTube. They show live streams like this. They also show Flat Bridge in St. Catherine, Halfway Tree, Crossroads. And they're planning on increasing the amount of cameras that they have all across the island. So subscribe today so that you don't miss out. Alright, if we take a look at the accumulated precipitation for the past 24 hours from the Caribbean Institute for Meteorology and Hydrology website, we can see some rainfall that we definitely had across section of Westmoreland, section of St. Elizabeth, section of St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. Some of this activity spilling into section of St. Catherine, St. Thomas for sure in the morning hours. Most of this rainfall was definitely during the morning for northern Jamaica and during the afternoon for southwestern parishes. So we definitely got that rainfall that was predicted for sure. And we also have confirmation of what the weather was like for some of our commenters. On our Instagram page, we have Kayla_Aquarius_Feb_1 sitting sun hot Linstead. We also have Panton Giavon sitting Spanish Town sunny. So it was definitely sunny in those areas, but didn't hear from anybody about the rainfall in the area at all. But that doesn't mean that it didn't happen. If we take a look at the latest still image from the Weather Nerds website about the weather across Jamaica right now. The latest image just came out at 23:45 UTC. So this just came out at 6:45 p.m. So 10 minutes ago, considering that it's 6:55 p.m. right now. Excuse me. And we can make out that there's not much of anything happening across the island right now. We do see some clouds right here, as well as off towards southwest. Let's see if we can match all of that to what we're seeing on the latest Cuban Doppler radar images. Alright, so first of all, look at this. The latest images as of 6:50 p.m. and we just saw that it's 6:55 right now, so the Cuban Doppler radar definitely up and running. But look at this, we're seeing some rain bands right there to the south of eastern Cuba, to the north of Jamaica, and they kind of look like they're pushing southwestward. So who knows, maybe more than likely by the time this video is out, section of some northern parishes might be getting in on some nighttime rainfall. And we can also make out that rainfall as sections of southwestern St. Elizabeth, well, southern St. Elizabeth, as well as the waters to the south of St. Elizabeth are experiencing as we speak. If we take a look at the Guantanamo Bay Cuban Naval Radar imagery, we can make out those rain bands even better right there to the south of eastern Cuba. The greens, the yellows represent moderate to heavy rainfall. We can also see some rainfall across the eastern end of Cuba too, even the western end of the western peninsula of Haiti. If we take a look at the Cayman radar, let's reload these images that we have the very latest. We do see some rain bands right there to the south of Grand Cayman. Do we see that rainfall to the southwest of St. Elizabeth like what we just saw? I think I can make out a little speck right there. Not really picking it up that well, but it's definitely there. And if we take a look at the live cam at Barbican, we can see definitely nothing to talk about in terms of bad weather. People in their vehicles going about their business, people walking about, another person right here on a bicycle going about their business. For sure, nothing drastic taking place weather-wise at all. Taking a look at the temperatures right now, we can see we have 25 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. And by about 4 a.m. on Saturday, temperature should dip down to about 24 degrees Celsius in both Montego Bay and Kingston. Taking a look at the temperature forecast for tomorrow, we can see that this map from the GFS is showing 18Z on Saturday. 18Z on Saturday when calculated, that's about 1 p.m. on Saturday. And we can see Jamaica right here embedded in the gray colors that we know represents 0 on the scale. That's average or normal temperatures for the month of December. And we know the normal temperatures for the month of December across Jamaica are around 87 degrees Fahrenheit. When that's calculated to Celsius, that's about 30.6 degrees Celsius. So we should be receiving that for Jamaica's temperature on Saturday. Regarding the maintenance outage advisories from my JPS Online, we know the lack of electricity can definitely exacerbate the heat, the lack of fans to cool us down, or AC, and it could definitely be an issue for those persons who are living in Christiana, Contrivance, Litchfield, Chudley, Devon, Silent Hill, Moravia, Colleyville, Stettin, Cascade, Low River, Troy, and John Daggy in the parish of Manchester for Saturday, December 7th. So if you live in those areas, or if you have friends or relatives who live in those areas, let them know that a power outage is coming their way. But considering that it's Manchester and the natural coolness of that parish, I doubt you guys will be feeling any heat at all. But that still needs to be shared, because we know persons have laundry to do and well, electrical business to take care of. So let your friends or relatives who live in those areas know that the power outage is coming. And if it's going to be a bit too hot for you in your area tomorrow, ensure that you try to beat the heat with these tips. When you're outside, seek shade. Try eating fresh foods such as salads and fruit. Rest, make sure you get enough sleep, and rest if you're feeling tired. So take a cool shower or bath to help you cool down. And I cannot stress enough how important it is to always keep hydrated. Put away the sugar drinks, drink a lot of water instead. Alright, so I've stated that the dry air is definitely coming in. We know that the dry air is represented by the yellows, the oranges, and the reds. And we can see the dry air all across the main development region, all the way into the Caribbean, the Gulf of Mexico right here. We can see some moist air in the blue across the waters to the west of the island and to the north of the island. But we see that the dry air is definitely coming in. We see the yellows, we see the oranges. Definitely starting to, cause more stable conditions to take place. Not unstable. Unstable would mean bad weather. Stable conditions, good weather. So it makes sense that we only have a few more days left, the Saturday and the Sunday, for rainfall across Jamaica. While as we head into the work week, all of this dry air definitely going to be limiting the amount of rainfall that we have across the Caribbean. So the dry season is really going to start looking like the dry season for sure. Regarding the Saharan dust forecast for 2 p.m. on Saturday, we can see that all the browns represent the Saharan dust are still across the main development region, and Africa we see that it's not so vigorous of a plume too, because the vigorous plume is represented by the dark shades of browns. And we know that can cause hazy skies, not to mention trigger some amount of respiratory illnesses, asthma, sinusitis in some persons. So we're glad that for 2 p.m. on Saturday, Jamaica is in the clear. North America, the Bahamas, the Caribbean, South America, and Central America are also in the clear. If we take a look at the wave forecast for tomorrow, we can see Jamaica right here, surrounded by blues. That's about 1.5 meter wave heights on the north coast. South coast 1.4 meter wave heights. But the waters to the north of Belize, well, not to the north of Belize, to the east of Belize, we see 2.3 meter wave heights. The waters to the north of Panama right here, if it will low 2.6, we see the purples. We can see all of what it represents here on the key on the bottom right. The blues 1 to 1.5 meter wave heights, all the way up into the purples 2 meter wave heights or more. And that's because of the winds that are expected. We see the general flow across the Caribbean from the northeast into Jamaica for sure. The eastern Caribbean from the east, curving southwards, so more of a more of a northeasterly flow down into the southeastern Caribbean. Excuse me. We can see up to 19 knots expected off the waters to the south of the island. Waters to the northeast of the island, 18 knots. Definitely gusting strong across the Cayman Islands, 22 knots. Gusting strong to the north of Colombia, 22 knots as well. But regarding the close-up of Jamaica in terms of the wind forecast, we can definitely see 17 knots on the north coast, up to 18 knots right there to the south of St. Thomas for sure. But look at this. We see that the least amount of wind should be across section of some southern parishes. So that's where we might have the least amount of winds across the island. That's where we might have that daytime heating, bring about some afternoon rainfall, maybe across section of Kingston, St. Andrew, maybe across section of St. Elizabeth. The rainfall forecast maps are not showing rainfall for the afternoon, but that doesn't mean that it can't happen. But we're definitely sure that the northeasterly flow is going to be bringing some amount of rainfall to section of some northeastern parishes, St. Mary, Portland, section of St. Anne, Trelawney, maybe section of St. James and Hanover could get in on some of the action too. And with the upper level winds coming in from the west for tomorrow, we can definitely expect maybe some isolated thunderstorms across the south, and if they develop, some of these high cold clouds could be sheared off towards the east, bring some overcast skies to those areas. Taking a look at the actual rainfall forecast maps now, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are valid for 12 a.m. That's for midnight tonight. It could start earlier than that for sure. And we see northern Jamaica getting the rainfall again in the blues. We're talking about Hanover, St. James, Trelawney, St. Anne, St. Mary, Portland. We can also see that for 6 a.m. on Saturday, we're still getting in on some amount of rainfall across the north. We're talking about Portland, St. Mary, St. Anne, Trelawney on the GFS. We were trying to incorporate section of Hanover and St. James. We'll see how that goes. Skipping ahead to 9 a.m., not much change. Still rainfall across the north. Skipping ahead now to 3 p.m. We see the rainfall still across the north, but the southern areas are starting to pick up on rainfall. The Euro has section of St. Elizabeth, Manchester, and section of Kingston and St. Andrew getting in on some of the afternoon rainfall. But the GFS, not so robust with that forecast. It's still adamant that northeastern Jamaica should be getting in on the brunt of the rainfall. See some slight blues in St. Elizabeth, maybe some rainfall in Kingston. We'll see exactly what happens at that time, and I'll definitely be here to keep you posted. Then by 8 p.m. on Saturday, we still see northern Jamaica, more so northeastern Jamaica, still getting on the brunt of the rainfall and the Euro. GFS still showing northeastern Jamaica as well. And we see that both accumulated precipitation forecast maps from the Euro and the GFS are still in consensus that the most in the way of rainfall should be plaguing northeastern parishes, with all of these reds represents up to 1 inch of rainfall or more. So maybe some isolated flash flooding, maybe something could be happening, landslides, especially considering that the ground up there in St. Mary as well as Portland definitely still saturated. Alright, we've been talking about these bar graphs all along. We know that if we want to see our specific parish, we can visit weatherandclimate.com. I always show the main towns though. Kingston's bar graph right here at the top. They usually receive up to 25 millimeters of rainfall for the month of December. That's about 1 inch of rainfall. Montego Bay, whose bar graph is being shown right here at the bottom, they usually receive close to 4 inches of rainfall. That's about 90 millimeters of rainfall. And we know that if we want to calculate it ourselves regarding the rainfall that's received on the rain gauge, we can visit this little image right here that I got from the Hurricane Center's website. We know that 1 inch of rainfall is about the same as 25 millimeters of rainfall. Alright, so that's it for the forecast across Jamaica. Let us focus our attention on the rest of the Caribbean. So we had some low-level patches of clouds associated with some small surface troughs passing over the Windward Islands today. Now they're definitely across the waters to the south of Puerto Rico to north of Venezuela. Some of these low-level clouds pushing from east-west can definitely pack a punch with some of the rainfall within them. And we see that has been happening across section of the eastern Caribbean. We can see the clouds associated with the trough still bring some amount of rainfall to eastern Cuba, the southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos. The cold front clouds lashing portions of Florida as we speak, as well as the clouds associated with that other trough still affecting portion of Central America. If we take a look at the Doppler radar images of the northeastern Caribbean, let us see what's happening down there, if it will load for me. Alright, here we go. So, what do we see? As of 7:05 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, we see some rainfall to the east of Antigua and Barbuda, some rainfall right here to the east of St. Kitts, some rainfall right here affecting the British Virgin Islands, some rainfall across northern Dominican Republic. I'm loading these images from earlier today. Not much was taking place across Dominican Republic or Puerto Rico. We definitely saw some rainfall, rain bands to the south of the East Virgin Islands, some rainfall to the east of Guadeloupe and St. John's. Taking a look at the Barbados radar right now, we see some hit or miss isolated showers passing to the south of there. Some rainfall coming in from the east could affect Barbados later on. But areas that have already been getting plagued by rainfall with more to come are Martinique, St. Lucia, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, definitely getting in some amount of rainfall as we speak. Some moderate to heavy rainfall at that. So too sections of the waters to the south of Grenada. You can also see some rainfall to the east of Tobago. Not much affecting Trinidad right now, but that could definitely change later on into tomorrow. If we take a look at the weather view of Doppler radar images, we can see some rainfall passing through the western portion of the ABC Islands. Some rainfall right there to the southeast of Belize. Some rainfall coming in from the east to the east of Nicaragua right there. And we can also see some rainfall right here across sections of Colombia. And regarding where the rainfall is expected within the next 24 hours, this map from the Euro and this map from the GFS are both showing all the rainfall that's expected from now until 10 p.m. on Saturday. And we can definitely see that eastern Cuba still gonna be getting some rainfall, southern Bahamas, Turks and Caicos, northern Haiti, northern Dominican Republic, eastern Puerto Rico. We're talking about the US and British Virgin Islands, Anguilla, Antigua and Barbuda. Excuse me. Sections of St. Bart's could get in on the mix. So too Guadeloupe, Martinique, St. Lucia, section of St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, Barbados. If we take a look, just some isolated shores for Trinidad and Tobago. Scrolling down, maybe some isolated shores for a section of Guyana, Suriname and French Guiana. But we see that most of Venezuela, not really much rainfall expected, but definitely Western Colombia, Panama, Costa Rica, Nicaragua, Northern Honduras still to be getting a lot more rainfall. Sections of Southern Belize and Northeastern Guatemala too. And we see that both the Euro and the GFS models are in consensus with this forecast. I know that when they're in consensus like this, the chances of it actually happening are much higher. Alright, so that's it for today. Thanks for watching.